Do you have any memory problems? Are you on drugs today? Have you taken anything that prohibits you from giving truthful testimony here today? What is your educational background?
If you were the attorney cross-examining him, how frustrated would you be right now?
I would become famous for it because I would tear into him and make him look like a moron. I would love to get somebody that's like that. Depositions are good things. They can help.
Yeah.
So today we're going to watch Lil Wayne's deposition with pirate attorney Tom. I don't know why Tom has an eye patch. I don't know why he's putting out contact with an eye patch, but more power to him. So it's going to be Lawyer Dana.
He's a pirate?
He's got an eye patch on for some reason. I think he had eye surgery or something, cataract, I don't know.
Okay.
But here we go.
Lil Wayne gives one of the most hilarious depositions ever.
Yes, he does.
Parentheses, a must-see.
Is that
This may or may not be safe for work. I don't know. We'll see.
an interview that I actually gave with Katie Carter? Yeah. What's your name again?
What's your name again? This is hilarious. So Lil Wayne, he was shot when he was a kid.
Oh, wow.
And there is a segment where he talks about racism, and he gives this honest interview and goes, you're not going to like what I have to say, but I thought there wasn't any such thing as racism anymore. Because when I was shot, there was a bunch of black officers and a white officer that came in, and the black officer stepped right over me, and the white officer said, what are y'all doing, this little boy here? And he drove him to the hospital, saved his life, basically.
Oh, wow.
And pretty much is like a father figure to him at this point in his life. And I think that's a great interview. That's the way I thought about it. That's the way I thought about racism. I'm sick and tired of hearing about how where racism, where there is none. You're making this up.
Well,
and
if
you're
you ever want it to go
that.
away, you have to quit talking about it.
Exactly.
And it's never going to go away.
But so I don't know what this deposition is about, but this is going to be hilarious.
Hey, well, that's not the question.
What's his name?
Pete Ross.
Huh?
Pete Ross.
Pete Ross. That's a stupid question.
How would you describe your image in the media?
How would I describe my image?
Because I've seen this before. I think he goes, I wouldn't, or something. I wouldn't describe it at all. They describe me, something like that.
In the media?
Yes.
I wouldn't describe it.
Well, how would you describe it if you had to?
I don't have to.
Well, what image are you portraying in the media?
I don't portray anything. I am who I am, and you guys portray what you get.
No, who are you? Who is the real?
I am Dwayne Michael Carter Jr.
Okay.
Okay, Lil Wayne, I can respect that. And hey, say what you want. That was actually probably a pretty good answer for Lil Wayne. That question probably was purposely phrased like that by...
Not probably. It definitely was. They're trying to entrap him into something and get him to admit and take him down a road that...
the lawyer in order for Lil Wayne to dig his own grave.
Exactly.
What did that lawyer want him to say? I imagine he wanted him to say, I promote a, XYZ lifestyle, a party lifestyle.
Or I'm a gangster, I'm dangerous, and that's the angle that they're probably going for.
Oh, blah, 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 blah. Don't go there, Lil Wayne. You don't need to speculate. You do you.
Exactly.
I think that was a good answer for him.
I do too.
Like to portray yourself as...
I don't portray myself as anything.
I don't like to portray myself as nobody.
Okay.
I completely be Dwayne Michael Carter Jr. I don't portray myself as anything. An image is self-described.
Well, you have to wait till I'm done with the question.
I don't have to wait till anything, honestly. I mean, this guy right here may tell me that I have to wait, but personally, I don't have to do nothing.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. First,
so that's a guy who actually has a whole lot of independence and does the type of things that he wants to do. And if you are that type of person, if you're a good person, then you can run a good and healthy life. If you're a bad person, money magnifies that you're bad. Money is just one of those tools of that. Well, he's got money. He's also got fame and ability and talent. So let's see what Tom says.
First, yes, the lawyer already did ask Lil Wayne this question. It was asked and answered. But this is actually very common in depositions.
Yeah, you can ask multiple times. In Texas, there's only 3 objections that you can make in a deposition: form, leading, and non-responsive. And if you're the one asking the questions, you actually can lead. So really there's 2 objections: form or non-responsive. And then you move on and you let them answer it. The only time you can really direct them to not answer is to protect a constitutional right. For example, the right against self-incrimination. I would tell my client not to answer that and instruct him. And then on anything that would potentially even be incriminating, whether one way or not, because a lot of times you give an answer at all, and then they find a little way that they can look at it and cast it in a light that is not what you intended. And now all of a sudden they can say, well, you're a liar and you're guilty. You have something to hide. It's not a good idea. The other thing is anything that is lawyer-client privilege or clergy, you can't really say, what did you tell the priest in confession? That's off the table.
Right.
But if it's, what did you and your lawyer talk about? That's an objection.
Well,
lawyer-client privilege.
I'm sure our viewers some of them don't know what a deposition is. So
what a deposition is where you both sit at the table. Everybody sits at a table. So it would be, I would be here, my client would be here, and the person answering the questions would be here. This is if I'm taking their deposition. So if I'm representing a husband or a wife, it will be their husband or wife that will be answering my questions. The court reporter will sit where you are. Next to the court reporter, their attorney will sit. And then we'll have a videographer over here that's taking video of the whole thing. That's exactly what's going on in Lil Wayne's deposition. The person that's giving their deposition will be on video. Usually.
So what's the benefit of a deposition?
The benefit of deposition is that court, there is very limited amount of time. And you basically, you get to do 6 hours on the record with someone, or it depends on what kind of case. But for our cases, generally we get 6 hours. And so in court, we might only get that witness for 6 minutes. So what I have to do is ask them all the questions that I want to know, and then determine from that 6 hours worth of testimony what little segments and pieces that I'm going to take out that I need to use in trial. And so it's used for that. It's called discovery. It's for me to discover what their case is and discover even what our case is. Discover the facts of the case. And it is for me to also lock them into either the truth they're going to tell or the lies that they're going to tell. So if they're lying, now I know what lies I have to disprove. If they're telling the truth, now I know what truth I can rely on, sort of.
Right.
Because they might then try and change their story. And then in trial, we go, well, at the deposition, you said this. So were you lying then or were you lying now?
Right. And it's recorded. So
it's recorded.
The judge has a copy of that as well.
Well, we have a transcript. We would have to introduce it.
Oh,
we would use it to impeach the witness. Impeach means to show that they're lying.
Yeah.
And to undermine the credibility of that witness, rightfully so. Because if you answered a question in a deposition, yes, and now all of a sudden it's a no, and there's no other reasons why that answer has changed. You know, for example, you say on January 1st, I had $1,000 cash in my wallet. And then in court, you say, I had no cash in my wallet on January 1st, then one of those two was clearly a lie.
Right.
And so when was it? And now the judge goes, well, you were sworn to tell the truth in the deposition as if you were in court. And you are now in court, sworn to tell the truth now, and you're giving two separate stories.
And I think that's important that people understand that. And when you do a deposition, you are sworn in.
Absolutely.
So tell the truth.
Absolutely.
Who are going to ask the same question in different ways.
That's true. You do sometimes ask the same question in different ways because if they're lying, they're going to give you some different answers and things. The other thing is, if you're going to go into a deposition, tell the truth and also keep it limited. Don't just sit there talking. When I'm taking a deposition, I love when they talk. Just keep talking. But when my client's giving a deposition, I want them to just answer the specific question.
Yes
For
or no.
example, yes. If I say, Jennifer, do you know what time it is?
Yes.
Perfect answer. So what time is it?
11:16.
How do you know that?
I looked at my watch.
What, do you have your watch on now?
Yeah.
What does your watch say?
11:16.
Perfect. So that is the way to do that.
11:40.
If you go, if I go, do you know what time it is? And you go 11:16. That's not the way you answer a deposition. And when people will give a lot of answers that are jumping to conclusions about what they think they're asking, and sometimes if you ask about certain things in a specific way, then and they answer in a specific way, it can be misleading and it can be used against them. For example, I saw a short of Kayleigh McEnany. I don't know how to say her name right, but she was Donald Trump's Donald Trump's former press secretary.
Kayleigh McEnany.
And she was in an interview and she goes, what led that person to favor your candidate, guy that was crazy and did something bad. I don't know. Maybe it was a shooter or something. And the person she's talking to goes, "He's mentally ill." And she goes, "Thank you for your answer." She's a lawyer. That's a very lawyerly type of thing to catch.
Right.
And she goes, "What?" And Kaylee goes, "I asked you what drew that person to your candidate, and you said he's mentally ill." So that's what mental illness draws people to your candidate. So it's a brilliant get, and that's the type of thing that lawyers can and will do. And it's a brilliant gotcha, and it also will throw somebody off. But let's see what Lil Wayne has to say.
Slightly over and over and over again. It's just part of the deal. It's part of the lawyer's job. You kind of have to do it, especially when you have a very squirmy witness.
Yeah. If you know that someone's lying, we're going to get at it. We're going to find it. We're going to come around. So don't lie. Mm-hmm. It doesn't do you any good. It destroys your case. And for our clients, we take cases where our client can simply tell the truth. And one of the things that when you're in court, Johnny Depp was a great example. Mm-hmm. There were things that he might have wanted to try and minimize or lie about, such as his drug use or alcoholism. Instead, he put all the bad facts that are out there. And you definitely have to tell your lawyer about that stuff. Never, ever, ever hide anything. If you think your lawyer might need to know, tell them.
Right.
They need to know what the truth is, because we can deal with that. What we can't deal with is, why didn't you tell me that?
Don't get to a deposition and start unloading.
Yeah. Well, or have things that come up to where you were trying to hide it from everybody, and the way that you thought it was to be hid is not the best way to hide it, nor maybe it didn't even need to be hidden. I have a lot of clients that will tell us something that they're ashamed of and want to hide because they don't want to deal with it, but then they tell me, I'm like, that's not even the issue. No one's going to care about that. 80% of the time they tell me some stuff, that's not going to be an issue. Don't worry about that. So it gives you peace of mind to tell your lawyer as well. But yeah, you got it. You deal in truth.
Second, Lil Wayne is getting a little testy. He's clearly frustrated. He doesn't want to be there. I don't blame him. Nobody wants to be deposed.
That's true.
But if you want to play that game where you think you're better than everybody, or I'm not going to play by the rules, and the rule being you have to let lawyer ask the question, you run the risk of a couple things.
Yeah, you do.
First, you run the risk of getting sanctioned. That lawyer might call the judge saying, "Judge, this is an uncooperative witness. We need to do this again."
It can be to the level of they can strike your case. They can award attorney's fees that you have to pay everybody in the room to redo it again, or for their time there, or they make you stay that much longer. It's a problem.
I need to come back and depose him again when he's willing to cooperate. There might be fines assessed to that. There might even be more extreme remedies like contempt.
Yep.
And second, and more importantly, if this deposition clip or clips are played at the actual trial,
you look like
a total jerk in front of the jury.
Absolutely.
You perform at the Virgin Mobile Music Fest. Isn't it something that you would remember if your album, The Carter 3, was the biggest selling album of the year in 2008?
Isn't it something that I would remember that?
Yes.
Isn't that a personal opinion type question?
I mean, he can ask a personal opinion type of question.
Right.
That's a valid question.
So in deposition, you absolutely can give your personal opinion. Because you say something in a deposition does not mean it's automatically admissible in court.
That is true. You make these objections, they have to answer the question. It doesn't mean that you can actually even use that into court.
Depositions are broader than what can be allowed in court if and when this case goes to trial. And that's on purpose, because the purpose of a deposition is to find out, to sort out the discovery.
Yep.
That's why I got that. I mean, because I would be actually answering the question to, isn't it something? That's my question. Isn't it something?
That you would remember.
Isn't it something? That's the question I have to answer, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Isn't it something?
You do the best trying to answer it.
It's something. It's actually a speculative type of question. Mm-hmm. I don't like that question. The question should be, do you remember whether your album was the highest selling album in 2008? That's a much cleaner question.
Right.
And if he says no, it can, now everybody knows the code for somebody's, my wife is logging into my email.
Yeah.
It's a good thing if you trust your wife enough to give her your email password. I'm clearly never hiding anything, but now we know. So I digress.
Yeah, something out of your
something out of
question.
Thank you, Your
out
Honor.
of your rear end.
Do you like to?
And by the way, he's going, thank you, Your Honor. There's no your Honor is a term for a judge, not the lawyers in the room. There is no judge at a deposition.
Right.
It's just the lawyers in the room with the court reporter
Right.
and a videographer.
Well, just so you know.
What does that mean?
I don't have to elaborate.
Is that
Ask your next question,
is
please,
that
Mr. Ross.
a threat against
No,
them?
it's not.
Mr.
No,
Ross,
sir,
can
it's
you
not.
just ask your next question, please?
He asked if that's a threat.
Yeah, I could perceive that as a potential threat.
I didn't hear the question.
I think he's just being a smart ass, really.
Is that a threat against
No,
them?
it's not.
Mr.
No,
Ross,
sir,
can you
it's
just
not.
ask your next?
Your Honor, do you like
You know he
to?
can't save you, right? In the real world. That guy right there. He can't save you in the real world. Just so you know.
What does that mean?
I don't have to elaborate.
He can't save you in the real world.
Is that
Ask your next.
I think he's just trying to insult him,
Yeah.
clearly, but it could be perceived as a threat.
Yeah.
a threat against
No,
them?
it's not.
Mr.
No,
Ross,
sir,
can
it's
you
not.
just ask your next question, please?
Hello? Where's the question?
He can't save you.
He can't save you.
And what does that mean?
I was talking to myself.
Look, that's one of those things, Lil Wayne. I know you're
Yep.
frustrated. I know you probably don't want to be there. That's not a good look.
Yep.
Because what if they play that in front of the jury? What if they
It's
play
not
that in
gonna
front of
look
the
good at all.
judge? And y'all remember, and I see this all the time. I even saw this today. There are a lot of people who like to get off on technicalities or think they're getting off on technicalities because they think, oh, this is the law, lawyers, technical, BS, blah, blah, blah. People can read between the lines
Absolutely.
and read circumstantial evidence,
Absolutely.
read the circumstance, read the situation. What is somebody going to infer when you roll that clip back?
It ain't good.
You know, just a lot of it is common sense.
Do you recall that any criminal actions were pending against you at the end of 2008?
I don't recall any.
Do you recall being at all concerned about any criminal actions that may have been pending against you at
So
the
he's
end of
gonna do
2008?
a whole
I
bunch
don't
of.
recall.
I don't recall.
Do you
sir.
recall that in the summer of
If they
2007
have any other
you
evidence
were
where he's
arrested
talking
in New
about
York
this, or they
City
catch him
following
on
a
mic or
performance
something
at the
talking about
Beacon
it, and he
Theater?
acts like he does.
I don't recall
That is
Not good.
not good.
Do you
at
recall
all.
that
he will get crucified?
police in New York City discovered a .40 caliber pistol on you, on your person?
I don't recall that neither.
Do you recall that in late 2009 you pleaded guilty to attempted criminal possession of a
How
weapon?
do you not remember that?
Rapper Lil Wayne, real name Dwayne Carter, pleaded guilty in a Miami federal district courtroom today to illegally possessing a loaded gold-plated .45 caliber handgun while traveling to South Florida on a private plane last Christmas.
I don't recall that neither.
I mean,
That's on record.
yeah, and you had to have been there to do it.
Did you
Yeah.
serve any time in jail following the end of 2009?
I don't know.
He doesn't know. He
How
doesn't
do you
know if he
not
was in
know
jail.
if you were in
Yeah,
jail?
this is not going to go well for him. They
No.
would come after sanctions at that point.
Yeah, you're.
Could you
definitely
imagine
being
going in front of
dishonest.
Judge Roach
I don't know.
with answers like that? He would put him in the tank for a couple of hours to
Probably immediately.
let him see what he comes back and remembers.
Well, I'm going to put you back in jail to refresh your memory. That's what I can hear him say.
Yeah, and he'd take you out. And do you remember being in jail a minute ago? Yeah. Now, do you remember being in jail before? Now that you've refreshed your memory?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here's
But
your
to do that-
toothbrush. Scrub the toilet.
Yeah. But to do that, you don't do something like that in front of a jury because you don't want to taint the jury
No.
on something like that. But
No, because you look like a dishonest witness or a dishonest, like.
exactly.
About
He served 8 months?
at Rikers Island in
He
2010.
served 8 months and he can't
At
remember
Rikers?
that.
And he
So
doesn't
again,
know.
even though Lil Wayne is not affirmatively answering this question, yes, I remember, or no, I remember, he is clearly saying, I don't know, to everything. I think somebody would remember spending 8 months in jail. So what would just
Exactly.
happen from this is the lawyer would play this clip of the deposition in front of the jury or the judge, and they could infer by the circumstances, his posture, his body language, how he's answering it, what they think the correct answer.
They're going to think that he is lying.
Shame on his attorney. If his attorney advised him to say, do not recall.
How many,
I'm sure
there are people that are difficult to control.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah, so no shame on the attorney, I think. I think the attorney's probably thoroughly prepped him. I think this is all him. Because you have a celebrity client like that, you're going, who has the funds to be able to sit there and pay you to do everything.
To deal
they
with.
can be more difficult to deal with, but they also have the money to prepare. And whoever gives you the budget to be able to properly prepare for things, those are the steps that you're going to go through. Of course, they spent as much time with him to prep him for that as he was willing to give. Mm-hmm. Certainly. I'm more certain about that than I am about the fact that he doesn't remember going to jail for several months.
Gosh.
To this is as it relates to the fact at hand or the question of the case. So saying I don't know to every single question is not a get out of jail free card.
No, it is not.
Misconduct involving weapons and possession of.
No, I don't recall that.
Well, how much longer is this line of questioning going to go on?
Not much longer.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
I don't know.
Well, no, it's actually
or is just information they can't.
D blank blank.
Paraphrasing.
No.
Bad stuff.
It's the finalia.
Oh, okay.
Words that I think that will hurt you in the YouTube algorithm or something.
Yes.
I don't know.
Didn't you win?
I don't know.
The award for Best Rap Album of the Year in 2008 for the Carter 3?
I don't know.
And the Grammy goes to... That's gonna be awesome. Woo! The Carter 3, yes, Lil Wayne. Yes, sir.
Mr. Carter, you have to wait until the attorney is finished asking the question, please.
I'm sorry.
Is this you on stage accepting an award? Do you have memory problems? These are the type of things.
A doctor?
Yeah, these are the type of things I would set up. Do you have any memory problems? Are you on drugs today? Have you taken anything that prohibits you from or affects you from giving truthful testimony here today? What was the last medications that you took? What is your educational background?
If you were the attorney,
do you have any mental illness?
Cross-examining him, how frustrated would you be right now?
I wouldn't. I would become famous for it because I would tear into him and make him look like a moron. I would love to get somebody that's like that. Mm-hmm. I have some depositions of record of doing that. I had somebody that I got to confess that they forged a will. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Depositions are good things. They can help.
Yeah.
Actually, pretty funny. What I imagine happened at the conclusion of this deposition, if Lil Wayne was a main party to the suit, perhaps he was just a side person. Perhaps he was just somebody they were trying to get some facts from. If he was a party to the suit, what I imagine the lawyer who was asking him questions did is called the judge, said, hey, judge, listen, he was really unresponsive. He didn't.
Yeah, you think?
Answer any of my questions. I'm gonna need to depose him again because it's my right to get discovery, and because he acted the way he did, I couldn't get any useful information.
So the question is whether the judge would make him pay for that the first time or not, because some judges think, well, they're not warned about that, but other judges realize, no, your attorney probably told you that. And I could see Judge Roach.
If I was a judge, I'd make him pay for that. Because you can clearly know.
Oh, I would too.
That he's just being.
I just think that there are some judges that think that they have to give somebody a chance every time.
Well, he's not cooperating.
But I would think that most judges would.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's doing it on purpose.
The judge might even examine the deposition or the transcript of the deposition and reorder a new deposition and have Lil Wayne pay for it. So then,
there you go, Tom. That's what we were waiting for.
And everybody's there back again, spending more time and more money taking another deposition. But to be fair to Lil Wayne, I've been in depositions that last 6 hours. So maybe he was there.
The thing is, a 6-hour deposition, when you take bathroom breaks and you take lunch breaks, and especially if you do negotiations, that thing can last. It's a 10-hour day.
It's a brutal.
Yeah.
There for all 6 hours, and those were only the fragmented clips where he was acting like that, and maybe he did end up giving some useful information where they didn't.
It's pretty unfair to just look at these segments like that, because that could have turned around and
it also could have been that he's already been asked these questions, so now he's like in a different way, and now he's just like done.
Yeah. Have to depose him again. All right, y'all. Talk to you later. Bye.
I don't know.
Lil Wayne.
Bye, Tom. And this is the Lawyer Dana Show. We'll see you next time.